The Pope and Young Club wants to welcome you as we rally together to ensure our bow hunting opportunities for today and tomorrow. You've come to the podcast that believes in preserving, protecting, and promoting the passion for bow hunting. Join us as we strive to be the voice of today's bow hunter. This is the Pope and Young Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pope and Young Podcast. Jason Roundsville here, joined as always by my co-host Dylan Ray. We have with us one of our new corporate partners from Velvet Antler Technologies. We have co-owners Darrell and AJ on with us today. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So now, where are you guys located?
So I'm located up in Idaho.
Okay.
And I am in Salt Lake City.
Okay. So that makes sense. So you guys are fairly close. I understand you're going to be joining us in Reno for convention.
Yes, sir.
All right. We're excited about that. We're putting together one heck of a program. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm fully expecting to.
Perfect.
Jason, where are you? You're obviously not in your studio. Where are you at in the world right now?
I am in St. Louis, Missouri I'm here for the AWCP meeting, the American Wildlife Conservation Partners meeting.
Gotcha.
So
how's that been?
Pretty much all day. It's good. Most of it has yet to kick off, but got a lot of friends and colleagues coming in, and I'm looking forward to a really full day of meetings tomorrow. So
very cool.
Yeah, it's nice. We get to talk about conservation and the North American Wildlife and Natural Resources Conference is going on at the same time. So there's wildlife folks from all over the country, all over the world, and state agencies, federal agencies, even branches of the military have their Fish and Wildlife meetings during this thing. So,
gotcha.
Nice.
So how many people are actually there? Like, is it not open to the public? I'm guessing. I'm
sure the public, if they wanted to come and register, could probably attend, but it's mostly in the industry, like folks in the management business.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
And so a lot of our partners are here. I know Nick with National Deer Associations here, and Kevin from Wild Sheep, and our friends in NRA and Mule Deer. A lot of our partners are here, so great
cool
opportunity.
So, gentlemen, for some reason I thought you guys were both in the Midwest. I don't know why. I always just thought you were in the Midwest. So how did Velvet Antler Technologies come about? How'd that happen?
So I guess I hate taking credit for things too much because AJ's been a huge integral part of this whole company. But way back when, I was a guide in Nevada, and I archery hunted a lot in Nevada. That's all I ever did. I was born and raised just actually 90 miles north of Reno. So a lot of the guys down there at that Pope and Young show, I will probably know when I go there. I will see a lot of the old guys I used to hunt with probably. But just out of necessity, really, I was 100 miles from any taxidermist. So I started trying to figure out how I could cure my velvet on my deer because I hated to see them rot. By the time I got them somewhere, they were rotten. So just over the years, playing with things and learning what I could spray on that velvet to keep them cured up. It kind of was born there. Fast forward, I moved to Idaho about 11 years ago. About that time, it was about a year after I was there, probably. It's kind of funny how AJ and I met. I was working at a place up there in Idaho, and guy there had a big set of antler sheds that he wanted to sell. So he said, hey, he's an older gentleman, didn't know how to get rid of them. So I threw them on eBay, and just so happened that AJ was actually the second bidder on them. The first guy didn't pay for the antler sheds that this guy wanted to sell. So I just kind of, him and I got to talking, after I shipped them to him, and it kind of blossomed from there. And I shared my passion of velvet with him and how I cure them. And he says, man, we should start trying to market this thing, and kind of just went from there. Right. And then fast forward again, I guess, because it can be a long drawn out story here, but just meeting people in the industry, you know, coming a need for things. Somebody would say, hey, man, you guys have this velvet thing. Do you have anything I can clean my mounts with? So then we build a mount cleaner. And so everything we've built has been out of necessity. People coming to us and saying, man, can you do something else in this industry to help us? And everything we've built has been out of this necessity to help the hunter and the everyday do-it-yourself type of guy.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's awesome.
And and you guys, I know we had a chance to visit a little bit at, I think it was Utah, at the Western Hunt Expo. And it was fascinating to learn about this, because for Pope and Young, for years and years, we would measure velvet entries, but you couldn't enter them into the book. And recently we have added, the only way you could enter a velvet antler animal into the actual records program before was if you strip the velvet, which if you have a beautiful velvet animal, I can't imagine wanting to do that. But people did it. And so now we've added this velvet category. And so for us, it is very much in the spotlight, because we have just monster velvet stuff coming in right now. People that have never entered it, wouldn't strip the velvet to enter it in as hardhorn. Now all of a sudden they're seeing this opportunity, and we're getting some amazing trophies coming in. So the timing here is fantastic for us. And it was just such a neat partnership with everything we've got going on and everything you guys have going on. But tell folks a little bit about it. I know I'm like, okay, Velvet Antler Technologies. I mean, they already come with velvet. What is this replacement? So this actually preserves the original natural stuff. So can you guys go into that just a little bit for listeners who maybe aren't familiar with that process?
Sure. So it's really designed, number one, to be done in the heat and the sunlight, right? Because I designed it in Nevada. Out in the deserts of Nevada, you don't have the luxury of trees and shade and ice chests and all that. So if you're back in somewhere, it's meant to be sprayed on when you're back there after you've caped your animal off. You spray it directly on the velvet, and it actually starts working the minute you spray it on. So the time you're traveling back to the truck, getting back to camp, all that, it's already doing its work, right? So generally in the heat and the sun out there in the deserts, high country, you know, you're going to cure a set of antlers in 72 hours. So, you know, a lot of guys hunt together with partner parties, right? You're all together out there. It used to be the thing where you'd spray it on that velvet and you'd hurry to get back to the truck, and you'd hurry up to get to town, and you leave all your buddies behind and they're hunting, and you don't have to do that anymore, right? You spray it on there, you go set it out in the sun and in the heat, and you go continue to hunt with your buddies. And that's the joy and the beauty of it. You get to stay out there and continue to do what you love to do.
That's cool.
Or for some of those guys, they can throw it in the back of the truck and drive around for 2 days.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah.
You guys also just came out with a pretty stinking cool turkey product. How does that work?
So it's essentially the same type of system, right? It just, you spray it on the base of a turkey fan. It'll cure a turkey fan completely dry and hard and solid in 5 days. No borax, no salt, none of that garbage. You just spray it on the base of that turkey fan. It'll kill any of the bugs that are in it, any of the turkey mites, any of that kind of stuff, and it'll cure that turkey fan in 5 days. That's
pretty cool.
That is cool.
Also, another product that I'm excited to pick your brain about. We have a mutual friend, the Holders from Raised Hunting, and I saw them do a video about this product about bugs going inside your taxidermy, and I was just like, I had no idea that was a thing. Like, that never even dawned on me. And they'll actually be at convention. They're doing one of the luncheons at convention. But anyways, tell me about that. First off, tell me how many bugs are in my taxidermy. That's what I got to know first.
You know, you just never know, and that's the problem. You don't know until you know, right? And when you know, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So
It's
this
too
is
late.
kind of this is a maintenance system essentially, right? We tell people every 4 to 6 months, depending on the animal, the humidity, where you live, that kind of thing, you spray this product on, you brush it in. The brush will actually carry the product down to the hide surface where those bugs live, and it'll keep them from coming back for every 4 to 6 months if you'll just keep applying that. It cleans the hide, the hair, it shines up the antlers, it shines up the hide afterwards, and it just gives them a whole new fresh look and feel about them.
That's
I've
cool.
had people tell me, say, hey, I already got hair falling out. So I'm like, I don't want to touch it. Well, if you don't touch it, it continues to fall out. You continue to have a bug problem. It just eventually is going to have no hair left. So take your losses, right? And brush out what little hair you're going to lose, and everything's better. But, it's funny because up until about 15, 20 years ago, somewhere in there, they used to put arsenic in tanning solutions. So FDA, whoever, made them stop doing that, right? Bugs don't like arsenic, obviously. So they're not going to chew on a hide or a hair that has arsenic in it. But when they stopped doing that, now, 15 years later, everybody's starting to see the repercussions of them not using that arsenic anymore. And they're starting to see more and more bug infestations.
Wow.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Now,
I know.
Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
When I moved, I had some trophies in storage. They were in a truck for like a year. They're all boxed up, but I wound up, I had a mule deer and an antelope that both the bugs got in there and just tore them up. It's pretty bad. So I wish I'd had some of this back then.
So the problem with that is they will actually lay eggs in there, and then they'll leave as adults. Then those eggs will hatch, and that's what's actually chewing on the hair follicles, that larva. That's their food while they grow, and then they hatch and they fly away again. Before they fly away, they lay more eggs. So it's a continual process. So if you've seen adult bugs, I've had people say, well, I got the Orkin Man comes out and sprays for me. The Orkin Man can spray all he wants. He's killing adult. That's like spraying the air for mosquitoes. You never kill a mosquito population spraying fog in the air. It just gives a good, warm, fuzzy feeling to the customer, right? But unless you get down to that hide surface and that Orkin Man is spraying each hide and brushing it in to where those bugs live down at that hide surface, they're not doing anything but giving you a warm, fuzzy feeling because they killed all these adult bugs.
Huh. So if you have treated velvet antlers with your Velvet Antler spray, does that affect the way that the treatment of that spray will work, or does it all work together?
So it's not going to affect it, but the Velvelock will help that bug curing or keeping away process that first set of that 6 months, because that's part of the process of the cure is keeping the bugs away at the same time. After that 6 months, you want to pick up the Trophy Clean to start using it every 6 months on that velvet as well. Or same thing, those bugs will chew that velvet and you'll start losing velvet.
Gotcha.
That's most folks listening right now probably have trophies on the wall. So this is something that they needed to hear about, because you just never know what to do. Like you say, I called the Orkin Man, but if they're not doing it right, then it just isn't getting it done. So now, are you guys? So what is? I have a guess in my mind, but what are your favorite animals to chase?
Actually, my favorite animal, my animal of choice, if I had to chase them, it's a toss up between antelope and big mule deer bucks. That's
okay.
Yeah, if I'm elk hunting and I see a big mule deer, the elk's going away. Bye, elk. I'm gonna go hunt the mule deer.
Okay, mule deer would have been my guess, because especially for a lot of our members, they just don't hunt much in velvet. I mean, they're hunting in November and peak of the rut, and they're like, velvet, what are you talking about? So a lot of the velvet, and this works on whitetails just fine, or caribou or anything. But when you're talking to people who velvet is often a priority, it's more times than not mule deer. So
right. And I think AJ, his animal of choice is going to be a bighorn sheep. I already know what he's going to say.
Yeah.
I admit I'm kind of the oddball in the group. I do love big deer. I absolutely do love big deer. But if I had a choice and I could actually do it often, it would be bighorn sheep and bear, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on the bear train with you. I'm on the
Oh,
bear
it's so
train.
much fun.
See, and that's, so the, you don't see a lot of velvet bighorns out there.
Or velvet
No.
bears.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Here's something neat. We've got some posts coming up about this, but this is something that I'm excited about. Speaking of bighorns, is we just participated a week ago on some bighorn studies in northeastern Oregon. There's a joint partnership with Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, Idaho Department of Fish and Game, Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. They're partnering with Wild Sheep Foundation and some others. We partnered with Wild Sheep. They brought us some things, and they said, "Hey, here's some great projects that Pope and Young could contribute to." And so we actually went up on the mountain, and I mean, they literally were out net gunning bighorns on the cliffs, bringing them in, dropping them with the helicopters. We process them, weigh them, and blood tests and everything else. And it was a great experience. And it's so neat to see, everybody talks about conservation, but there's something special. I've never hunted bighorns, but I'll tell you what, when you see them rolling in, hanging from a helicopter, that's literally conservation at its finest right there.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That sounds like an awesome opportunity.
Yeah, it was neat. And a lot of partners up on the mountain. And so it was really a good opportunity to visit with people and make some connections that I think will help our conservation program while helping their programs along the way. So,
well, and while we're speaking about sheep and bear, let's talk about one more product. So we have a product called Hide Lock. So this stuff is actually phenomenal. A guy goes on a sheep hunt and could be upwards of a $30,000-$40,000 hunt, right? You got to pack in salt to keep all your hide in shape. Well, we created the Hide Lock product. In the beta testing portion of this, I took 2 whitetail deer hides out in Maryland when I was hunting, and I kept them for 10 days in a plastic bag in September, unrefrigerated in the back of my truck. And I never lost any hair out of those two hides. They went to the tannery, they went to the taxidermist, and they came back just like the day I killed them. So if guys are going in these backcountry hunts for bear, for any of these, really, for your early season deer, anytime you can't keep that hide refrigerated, that Hide Lock will be a saving grace for you.
That's cool.
You left them in a plastic bag in the back of your truck for how long?
10 days in Maryland. From Maryland down through the Carolinas, through Georgia. I stayed in Georgia, hunted a few days, drove all the way down through Mississippi, up through Arkansas. When I got to Arkansas, I shipped them home to my taxidermist. I left them in my truck for 10 days.
Wow.
In high humidity, high temperature in September.
That just sounds nasty.
I didn't even stink.
So, didn't lose any hair. That's crazy. Because You would think that it would just be a mass of nasty after about 3 days.
Yep. Usually they would be.
Yeah.
This is just, it's another one of those things added to the list, right? And I always shout out to Doyle Moss, because Doyle Moss is the one that he said that to me. He goes, "Man, you got the velvet stuff figured out. If you could figure out how to keep a hide from rotting on the mountain, you'd be money."
Right.
So we went to work, right? AJ and I went to work back and forth, kicking stuff off of each other, try to figure out what we can do and different formulations. It took us about a year to generate everything and put it together and do enough beta testing to know that it works. Put a label on it in a bottle, and off we go.
Nice. Cool. Now, did you guys get to bring arsenic back?
No arsenic.
Is it? So what's next on the horizon? What's the next product?
Oh, I don't know. We still have, what else do we got? We got our blood remover out there. That blood remover actually works really good on same thing like stone sheep. You get a stone sheep that gets blood in it, they can't bleach it. They have a hard time getting the blood out of it. Antelope, same way. Our blood remover, you can spray it on there. It'll dissolve it. It takes that blood and just turns that proteins into liquid form, and you can wash it away. It'll take your blood out of your backpacks and your clothing, everything else as well. It's all safe for all that stuff.
Do you have anything that grows in? Like Dylan and I could sure use a product that grows. I seem to be always like on my trophies. I seem to be, like an 1/8 inch short here and there. And so, like if you had something that could help grow that would be huge for us.
No, can't do that.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? Our records guys and all of our official measures are really glad to hear that. So those guys work really hard keeping the integrity in our system. So,
you ain't kidding.
Yeah. I think if you could ever invent, even if it didn't grow them, if you could just ever create the what is it, the fix for ground shrinkage, I think it would be. I don't know how many people I talk about. Oh man, I shot this big animal. Then I walked up to it, and every step I took, it just got smaller and smaller.
And you know what's really funny is those scorers too. They probably get it all the time when they're official scoring something, and the guy brings it in and goes, "Yeah, my buddy scored 155." The scorer gets in and goes, 135.
Yeah, it's 1/5. I think it's 155 to 162. Seems to be. I think I think that's legitimately every 200-inch mule deer that I've been told about has been in that range. Like it's like, oh man, I got a 200-inch mule deer, and I'm like, oh, I'd love to see a picture. And they show you a picture. I'm like, well, can you show me the 200? And they're like, that's it. And it's like, literally, it's like, well, Billy Bob's cousin's nephew's stepbrother measured this right there on the tailgate of the truck, and he told me it was 200 inches. And I'm like, I'm sure he did. So
I finally got like 200.
That's not easy to do.
No, he's 205 and 7/8. He's gross though. You can't. That's what's tough with Pope and Young is you have your deductions, but gross, he's 205 and 7/8 because he's got a bunch of trash. But
yeah,
I'll take it.
Which doesn't take anything away from the animal, but
nope.
It's we consider our trophies kind of like a fishing trip. It doesn't count till you get it in the net.
Yep.
Once it's in the net, then you can count it. Then you drop it on the floor of the boat. Same thing with trophies, man. It's you got to get them in the net. But no, that's still a heck of a buck. No matter how you slice it.
Yes, sir. So and then so getting back to backpacking in the backcountry. So another one of our products that kind of resolved out of necessity. I broke my back in 2019, and I'm watching all these people packing animals out on my phone, right? I'm looking at my phone, watching pictures, and I see these guys tying rope around the velvet on their deer, packing them out. And it makes me sick. I'm so passionate about my velvet.
Right.
So I actually got my wife's sewing machine, and I started sewing out this pattern of something we can build to hold a head on a backpack. So same thing, bouncing ideas off of AJ and where we should put straps and what we should do with it. We came up with the trophy head hauler, and it really just goes over just the head and the cape of a deer head, and it'll hold it on any backpack. It'll adapt to any backpack, has 8 buckles on it. It clips onto the backpack, and you can cinch it down super tight, holds it in place without touching any part of the antler or the horn.
That's cool.
So we have them in a couple different sizes and different colors. So
yeah, I shot a buck this year, and it was laying there, beautiful mule deer, and it was a 4-point full velvet, and I didn't even have to get him very far out. I didn't have to pack him. I could drag him down to where I could get to him with the vehicle. And by the time I got him just to where I could get a vehicle in to pick him up later that day, it was, the velvet had rubbed off of one side completely, and then the other side, everywhere I'd grabbed to pull him out, it just evaporated. So I really wish that I'd have had a better system for for that, because he was just gorgeous in full velvet. And then by the time he got to camp, it was half gone. It was pretty sad.
And it's kind of neat, really, with that head hauler. If you were to take it and wrap it around that head and use it as a handle, it will hold the head up for you without touching the antlers. You could wrap it around, wrap those buckles around, and cinch them down around the head, and use the front two straps as a holder, and you could pull them out of the woods that way without holding on to that velvet.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was I guess it was a good lesson to learn on a buck that I wasn't going to have mounted. So that way I don't learn it on the big one. Right. When I get my 205 or 155, as most people say. So here's a question for you guys. You're going to be at convention, so hopefully you've got your tickets. Dylan, do we even have on our convention raffle? Do we have any tickets left? I think there might be a few. I'd have to check.
Ooh, but I do believe last time I checked, there were some tickets left. So okay. I do believe there's still some tickets left.
Anyway, so if you guys are coming to Reno, you're definitely, if you're not in on this already, you want to get in on this. But either way, we're going to ask you the question. So we're going to start. Darrell, you're up first. So here are 4 choices. Choice number 1 is a Yukon moose. Wonderful hunt with McMillan River, top-notch hunt. Option number 2, choice number 2 is with Peter Barella, mountain goat, brown bear combo. Choice number 3 is jumping across the pond to South Africa with Motschweer, and it is a lion, Cape buffalo, sable, crocodile, lioness hunt. Option number 4 is with Rainy Pass Lodge, and it is Doll sheep, brown bear, caribou, black bear combo. So, Darrell, you're up first. Which of those 4 are you taking?
Oh, that kills me because my bucket list animal is a caribou, but I'd love to kill a moose. I'd probably have to pick the moose hunt.
Okay. And AJ, how about you?
That wasn't even a thought for me. I would go brown bear and sheep all day long.
Really?
Okay.
Absolutely.
See, I go back and forth. But brown bear. See, for me, I go back and forth because I think for me the number matters. Like, I'd love to shoot a Yukon moose, but if I'm going that far, I don't know if I want to travel that far and just get one thing. So I like the opportunity. I like the availability to go get like either the Doll sheep, brown bear, caribou, et cetera, or the Africa, because that some of the stuff on the Africa hunt are like I guess to me, I just never envisioned ever being in a position where I could go lion hunting, maybe Cape buffalo, but some of that other stuff is just like, wow. So I guess for me, that would be the one that's probably the most far-fetched in my brain. So I might have had to go with that one just because I just never envisioned that.
See, for me, I've talked to lots and lots of Africa guys, and I would really have to be picky on which Africa guy I went with and have to really do my homework before I just jump into something with somebody.
Yeah, we did the homework for you. That's why it's with Motschweer. They are. We've had several of our members and regular members and even some of our board members have hunted with those guys, and it's top notch. It's big Cape buffalo, and the lions are exportable, so it's still not easy because the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service doesn't make anything easy, but it's that one, the research has been done for you.
Yeah.
So
gotcha.
Yeah. So anyway, that one, I've been at show season kind of like you guys all year so far, and I'll tell you what, it's $100 ticket. There's only 1,500 total available. That's as good of odds as I've run into anywhere this show season on hunts of that caliber. There's just nowhere else you can go. That's your odds are about twice as good as what they are for most hunts of that caliber.
Gotcha.
But that, and then the other one that we're drawing Saturday. In fact, Chuck Adams is coming up on stage to announce the winner. We got another one it's a $20 ticket, and it's a whitetail hunt in Oklahoma at Liberty Ranch, and you get to spend a weekend camp with Chuck Adams. So that one's kind of cool. It's like something you can't buy.
Right.
And, Chuck's got more entries into Pope and Young than anybody else out there. I was going to say arguably the best living bow hunter on the planet, but I don't even know. Dylan, is there even an argument there? Is there anybody else that would be in the running? I know Frank would like to think he is.
Well, but what about the time Frank called Chuck and said, "Hey, dude, I just passed you in the record books."
Not for long.
Chuck said, "Really?" Said, "I haven't entered anything in about 5 years." So he called a measure, and Chuck called him back and said, "No, I went ahead and got some stuff measured. I'm about 50 ahead of you now."
Yeah, I think he said. Imagine just having in your garage like 50 trophies you could just send to Pope and Young.
Yeah, just call them up.
Because because Frank Noska was getting close. That'll be interesting to see if Frank's got a lot of. Chuck's still getting it done. That's the crazy thing. Is this guy's been doing it as long as I've been around, and Chuck is still. This year he's got potential world records that we're going to be on display. We'll have on display in Reno. And so this guy's been doing it for literally decades, and he's still getting it done. So that'll be interesting. We still need to get those two guys on together. We were going to do that last year, and then all of a sudden Chuck shot another world record. And so we went that angle instead, but we still need to get the two of those guys on.
Yeah, what a jerk. Funny. Just shooting world records just to mess up our plans,
I know. Yeah.
See, now, if I could go on the whitetail hunt, I would probably pick the whitetail hunt out of all of that if I could kill a 170 or better whitetail.
And they're there.
Because currently I have my 360 bull on the wall with my bow. I got 280-inch antelope with my bow. I have my 200-inch mule deer with a bow. Now I need my whitetail, my 170-inch whitetail.
Now, are those all in the books?
I don't know. I don't think so. I did a couple of them through SCI. I have 100, and I'll bring one of my deer with me. That's a 30-inch 5x6 that I killed in Ely in Velvet. Never had him scored officially.
Well, you better get those things in the Pope and Young books, because if it ain't through the program, it doesn't count. Those guys won't even let you say a number unless it's been through the program.
I know. I killed a whitetail in Maryland a couple years ago that I scored him at like 148 and some change, but I call him 150.
Yeah. Yeah. 150, 200. Yeah. I got a 200-inch. No, that's the thing is but no, if you got those around, man, just, connect up with some guys. I'm sure we got some official measures not too far from you, and get those things put in.
Yeah.
You know what? I can proudly say, I don't want to say proudly because either way I'm wrong, but I always underjudge. Like I've had friends that are like, "What do you think this scores?" And I'm like, "I don't know, maybe 140." And then it's measured, and they're like, "Dude, that was 160. You're way off." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry." I don't know why. I've always been that way. I've always underguessed and underscored. I don't know why. I'm not an official measurer, just so everybody knows. Don't start bringing it.
No.
They're like, well, we're never going to that guy to measure. They don't.
No, I need to take the course because I want to understand more about, what it takes to go through the process. I have a pretty good idea, but I want to do the measuring course. But man, when you look at what those guys do, I mean, it's I've been around hunting my whole life. Like literally, I was born in August. September, I was in deer camp. So I'm not new to hunting. I'm not new to, scores or numbers. And I don't know how many animals I've seen scored on a kitchen table or a tailgate or something. and those aren't scored. Those are just roughed. And I'll tell you what, when you get with an official measurer, I mean, if you're having somebody stretching the tape on one of your trophies, I know some of the best measures in the world, because most of the best measures in the world are Pope and Young, because they get to do more than what some of the other measures get to do. The training's intensive. I mean, it's a 3-day process with a test just to become an OM. And it is, if you go to have something scored and the first thing they do is not break out the measuring manual, then it's just a guess. Because even the best scorers in the world, when Stan Zerbel, who is, measured as many whitetails as anybody that I'm aware of, when he goes to measure a whitetail, the first thing he does, as one of the most experienced guys in the world, is break out the measuring manual. I mean, it's crazy.
And I can proudly say I have Victor Clark's name on one of my score sheets, so I like that.
and I don't know Victor, but is he an OM?
He's one of the guys that he does measurements for tiebreakers or for an official. Like, there's two guys that one guy says it's 160 and one says it's 163, and they need that. He's that guy they send it to that says, you fix it for us and you give us the right score.
Gotcha.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So antelope, you want to talk about scoring? Antelope on hoof are one of the hardest animals in the world to score.
I don't know if I'm just bad at scoring them or if I'm just optimistic and I just want them to be a little bit bigger than they are. Because and the funny thing is, like this year, the antelope I shot in Oregon, I hunted several days, and he was the best buck I saw in the entire unit. I mean, there were little dinks that hadn't even forked yet that were running like 15, 20 head of does. It was just my hunt. The archery hunt started the day after the second rifle season in this zone, so it was. I don't know if I had it to do over again. It was a good experience, but I don't know that I'd have done that considering the factors involved. But there were literally immature bucks with big herds of does. And so this was the biggest buck I saw in the entire unit that was left over after the rifle hunts. And he still didn't make Pope and Young.
So you know where you find big antelope? Let me tell you where you find big antelope.
Where are the in the back of the rifle hunters' trucks?
No, where the other antelope aren't. Where the other antelope aren't. That's where you find big antelope. If you're finding antelope and you're looking at antelope all the time, stop looking for those antelope and go look where the antelope are not. Because those big bucks only come in when those does get hot, and they'll come in right then, breed them, and they're gone. They're very solitary.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I had 30-some thousand pictures because I had cameras up in Idaho. I had a tag there this year, and I had 30-some thousand pictures, and I think I had one or two antelope in 30,000 pictures. So maybe that's where the big ones are, but I didn't have the confidence to stick around and find out.
Yeah.
So, but any big plans for this year? What's next up on your guys' radar?
So we got a bear hunt coming up. Hopefully a couple TV shows. I'm hoping that Warren comes out from Raised Hunting TV. He's supposed to be coming out with us and hang out and see if we can find a bear or two to kill. And AJ wants to kill one real bad, so I'm going to come to Idaho and try to put him on a bear there. And then it's
nice.
busy season for us for getting product ready for the new season.
Listen,
gotcha.
I have a terrible reputation in Idaho for bears. Terrible.
It's not just Idaho, Dylan. It's not just Idaho.
No, but Idaho is specifically bad. I told a story. I was asked to speak at a wild game dinner at a church this weekend, and I told a story about when I was bear hunting in Idaho. And maybe I shouldn't give Jason this ammo, but I guess I'm going to. But I had hunted for like 9 days, and we were hunting with the guys from S&S Archery. And on day 10, they said, well, hey, there's a burger joint just right up the road. So why don't we take a break, come off the mountain, go get a burger. There's some hot springs up there. We can bathe and just take an easy day. And I was like, yes, 100% I'm in. And so we had went to this burger joint, had a nice burger, first hot meal, in 10 days. And went to the hot springs. And so we get done. We just throw on our street clothes. I'm wearing jeans and sandals. So I get back to camp to get my hunting clothes back on. And lo and behold, the first bear we see all week was when I'm wearing jeans and flip-flops on our way back from the hot springs. They said, dude, there's a stinking bear right over there. And we were still, 30 minutes from camp where all our hunting gear was. And I was just like, well, this is the best opportunity we've had, to find a deer or to find a bear and in the 9 days. And so we don't have no time to go back and get boots and camo. And so we start stalking this bear, putting a stalk on him. And I learned pretty quickly these sandals are holding me back. Well, I'm from Arkansas, so we're a bunch of backwoods hillbillies anyways. So I kicked my shoes off, and we go 2.1 miles to kill this bear, and I'm completely barefooted in the mountains of Idaho. I counted like 132 stickers in my feet. They were all cut up and bloody. It was a horrible, horrible time. And then I stinking missed the bear. Missed the shot, don't kill him anyways. And so that was my first trip to Idaho. And then this year I went to Idaho to hunt bears, and I shot one at 13 yards with my recurve and shot it high and never found it. I threw the bow and I said, I'm never hunting Idaho again. That's how that one went.
Oh, that's funny.
So
yeah.
Are you gonna have a book? The Dennis Dunn has his bear bow.
I have
book.
bear
Are you
foot.
gonna have a bare feet book?
Yep, 100%. Okay. I am. Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, that was bad. I've still got a picture of my feet from that experience, but yeah, it wasn't smart or fun.
Yeah.
Were you guys running bait or just spot and stalk?
Just spot and stalk.
Interesting.
Yep. No, I do love bear hunting, and I actually am planning a trip back. I hunted bears in the McCall area this fall, which is when I shot them with my recurve. And it had a great hunt. I just, that's bow hunting. I never found it. I do probably believe that bear's dead, just based off of where the arrow went in and where it came out and the blood on my arrow. But I did hit him a bit high, probably caught top of back lung, and just never found him. But I do plan on going back to Idaho in that McCall area for a spring hunt. We've actually got our Baku bash there in May, and it's right there in Ogden. So I can be there to the McCall area in 4.5, 5 hours from there. So plan on trying to go up and shoot a spring bear after that event. So
nice.
Spring bear better eaten anyway.
Oh yeah.
So, hey, I guess there's one more product that I haven't talked about a little bit. Probably should touch on it just a little bit. Another one that kind of came out of necessity is our Bone Bright product. So that one has a kit, and it comes with a couple brushes, a towel. It has a spray-on degreaser and a spray-on whitener for doing your own European mounts. So a lot of guys out there wanting to do their own, and actually it came from New Zealand more than anything. The guys there kind of messaged us and said, hey man, we have a hard time getting a hold of any type of products for doing any European mounts. So we created something that we could sell to them down there. And everybody here was happy to see we did that and started selling it here too. So kind of a cool product.
Nice. That's once again born out of necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these are you'd like to say, oh, here's products. Like sometimes we get products that people didn't even know they needed. People know they need these. They just may not know they're available yet.
Right. And the beauty of that Bone Bright product is if you have skulls on the wall already, they start to yellow over time. I don't care. I mean, people argue with me, and there's some taxidermists out there that'll say, I get all the grease out of them. To me, I have to argue that point, because you can't get all the grease out of all that bone every time. It just doesn't happen, right? So they're going to yellow over time. Just that grease comes out of them 10, 12 years down the road. You really can't reboil those or resimmer them, macerate them again to get that grease out of them. So there's really no way to do that, to take the grease out in a good way and re-whiten them. So that's another reason we created this. You can spray that on an old skull that's already on the wall. A couple days later, you spray the whitener on there, and all in all, 5 days later, you have a nice, pretty bright white skull again.
Yeah, I've got some Africa stuff that could probably use that, because they're not. I don't know if they were ever white to begin with.
Yeah, I started a new way of. I started just. I had a buddy tell me. I spent all day long one time boiling 3 skulls and scraping and cutting and boiling and pulling and, nasty. Then I had a buddy, he came by the house. He said, why don't you just bury them? I'm like, what do you mean? And this was years ago. He said, just bury it out back for about 4 months and pull it up. It'll be clean. I'm like, no way, dude. And so sure enough, out back behind my yard right now, I've got 3 heads buried, and you pull them up in 4 to 5 months and there's not a thing left on them. But they don't get near as white. They kind of stain it brown because of the earth. But so that makes me excited. I'm going to order some of that, make the skulls whiter.
Yeah, I always pressure wash them after you get done simmering them, macerating them. Put on some rain gear and get the pressure washer out. Take them to the car wash is the best place to do it.
Yeah.
Let the car wash have all the remnants.
I actually, I saw somebody post one time and say, go to the car wash and use the tire cleaner because it has degreaser on it, and it'll pull all that grease out of the skull when you use the tire cleaner, because it's made to, break down the grease. Then you spray it off and so yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure these car wash owners love hearing that people take bloody, gross, nasty skulls and pressure wash in their bays.
If you're a car wash owner,
if we're doing dirt.
If you're a car wash owner, we sincerely apologize, but thank you for your service to our country.
Yeah. I'm going to go on a guess and say that ain't the worst thing that's been done at car washes.
No,
probably.
Yeah. So, well, Dylan, why don't you step up with the next one?
All right, gentlemen. So one question that we ask everybody. This is I don't know how this question came about. We asked the first person randomly and decided it needed to stick. But we ask every single guest, what's one non-traditional hunting item that you don't find yourself without? So not your binoculars or a knife, something that everybody carries, but something non-traditional that you always have with you when you're hunting.
Oh man,
that's tough.
Well,
this probably sounds really funny, but I actually carry chapstick everywhere. I hate chapstick, and I don't use chapstick very often ever, but I always have it in my pocket.
There you go. I think you said AJ's in charge of your marketing. I think if he doesn't say Velvelock, then he's not doing a great job of marketing.
I actually carry one of every single product we make. So my pack is like 68 pounds because I carry everything that we just for the photo opportunity, the content creation. That's what I do.
There you go.
I would say mine is as dumb as this is probably Jolly Ranchers. My pack either always has Jolly Ranchers or like the little cinnamon hard candy. That's just a personal thing that I always, when I hike a lot and do backcountry stuff, I need something, and I don't necessarily love having gum or whatever. So yeah, I don't know if that really fits the bill, but as far as like a non-traditional thing, you can always count on, I either have those little Fireball candies or Jolly Ranchers.
The overwhelming amount of our answers is something food related.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's because it helps boost your spirits, right? Like if you're grinding out, like you were mentioning, you're chasing bears for 9 days in the hellholes in Idaho. Like it is grueling. It is tough. It's taxing. You spend a ton of time behind your optics and on your feet. The littlest things can it can just turn a hunt around. And that could be a food item, a drink. So I know some guys, like, there's one kid that I hunt with that he will always have a Mountain Dew with him. And it's kind of as a backup, like if he gets to that point where emotionally and mentally he's getting worn out, he'll pop that sucker open and, man, he's good to go for another couple of days. So I think it's something
like
to
Jason
do with
there?
just, yeah. I saw him drinking his Mountain Dew.
Oh yeah. It's all in due time.
Homeboy don't play. He don't play.
Thing that now that you got my brain reeling, the other thing I always have is a little bottle of whiskey to celebrate.
I think
See, now that means something. That means something different to different people. Like some people are like, oh, I have a little bottle of whiskey. They're like one of the, like airline bottles. Other people are like, yeah, I got a little bottle of whiskey. It's not even the full gallon. It's like a half gallon. So
no, mine's just, I always carry a little bit, just a little handle for my brother and I or whoever I'm hunting with if they choose to partake, just to celebrate. Because as you know, finding them and getting on the ground is half the battle. So that's a good way to do a quick celebration and get to work.
that's so is that your next product? It's going to be Liver Saver?
It should be. It's a great one. Now we've got some, like Darrell mentioned, a lot of everything that we've done has been us getting feedback from people out there saying, hey, you should think about this or do this, or something that we encounter personally that we come up with a solution for. And so we do. You asked the question earlier, what's next? We've got 3 or 4 different ideas that we're kicking around and kind of beta testing and pricing out and doing some other stuff. So yeah, we're always adding to our lineup. We're always, adding, really entrench ourselves in what we do and become the one-stop shop for everything from field to table type thing. So yeah, we'll see. We've got some cool stuff in the works.
Nice. Well, I look forward to seeing you guys in Reno, and you're going to have a bit. So if anybody wants to see your stuff, check it out online. Where do they go for that, guys?
So all of our products are featured on our website, www.velvetantlertechnologies.com. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those places you can find our product, as well as, pictures of our products at work and finished products from customers that submitted to us.
Nice. Well, hey, if also you'll be at convention, and it's great to be able to see the products and hear the explanation in person for what they do and why you need it, and here it is. So look forward to seeing you guys here in just a few weeks, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you.
You bet.